even when I saw him walking, I was like, he's not going to walk in front of the train. And he walked right in front of the train.
Welcome to 10-Minute Travels. With me as always is Phil Freeman.
And with me as always is Shane Patrick. And today we're going to talk to Willie Costello, train conductor.
Let's get right to it, shall we? Any other highlight story, incident, close call? Like, were you ever didn't get to the siding soon enough and screwed up the schedule for the whole Eastern Seaboard or anything like that?
Work or hobo?
Because I can imagine it's like a snowball effect when something goes sideways.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Not that, but again, holidays. So we were coming in Christmas Eve, and we're at the yard in Baltimore, and we're backing up the train, get ready to set cars off and everything. And all of a sudden, the train just stops moving. And, my engineer and I are a mile and a half apart. And he's like, train's in emergency. And typically, just the air hoses come undone. So I'm like, all right. So I start walking back up the train, and there is a teepee of train cars.
Oh, no. On your train?
On our train.
Goodness.
And I'm like, oh, we have a problem. And kind of in our benefit, because the front end of the train is still out on the main line. Like, we're not all the way into the yard yet. And it's a single track.
So you were backing up when this happened?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're backing up. So it's like I rode the train back, and then I got down to open up the switches, and I'm bringing them back, and I'm going to get back on and go back. And it just stops. And yeah, it's 4 train cars in a teepee, like just smashed in the air up off the tracks.
And we talked earlier about how much these things weigh. They're heavy. Even empty, they're heavy. They're steel.
Even empty, they're heavy. Yeah. And so we're like looking, I'm looking at them like, oh, we got, this is a problem. So my engineer, like, I'm on a little walk. So my engineer has to call all interested parties and be like, this is what we have going on. So the bosses are on their way down, and this is, I'm sure there's other, the higher up the ladder of our officials. Some of them had never worked on a train. Like, they just are in that job.
Yeah, they're Fortune 500 type managers or something.
So, and it was a very, the culture is like, from the day they hire you, they're trying to fire you. Like, it was just very antagonistic between the actual workers and the management, for the most part. Some people were better, but for the most part. And so the first group of guys who already knew and already, did not like, they show up. They're like, oh, it's not going to be a good Christmas for you. I'm like, I didn't do anything wrong. And they are immediately like walking under this stack of trains, like looking for something. I was like, what are you doing? And they're like, well, the train stopped, and then there's like this thing they would call free stop protection where you could cross the train. Like, you have that. Or I was like, not on a stack of, like, I can't do anything about gravity for you.
Right, it's a law.
And they're just like meticulously, like, it's like, oh, well, you forgot to throw this. I was like, no, that's the right. It was like, they didn't know what I was doing or how it should be done, but they were dead set on finding some mistake I made. Luckily, another boss shows up that had actually been an engineer and worked for actually on the road for quite a while. And we figured out that what it was is there was a car carrying aluminum blocks, like recycling blocks. and it had rusted out in the bottom, and all those blocks had fallen out of the bottom onto the track, and then bunched the whole thing up. But yeah, it was, I mean, just seeing a bunch of train cut, like, I mean, completely off the track too. Like, not like, it was a mess. It was Christmas Eve.
It's hard to fathom something that heavy up, suspended up.
And I mean, unfortunately, it's like, I was on the train that 2 people got killed by, and I was on another train, passing a train, that I saw that person get hit. And again, you know,
by car?
But
or were they standing on the tracks trying to commit suicide? Or
the one guy, like I think the one where the other train hit it, this guy tried to like run in front of us real quick on foot, like this, like I think cars. One time we hit a dump truck and sent it spinning, but this was like a person on foot, and like he was so focused on our train, he went to run across and he got hit by the other train, which it wasn't near any, like, the train was going full speed, like. And then another time, there was a guy, he was sitting on the tracks, and I mean, the front end of the train actually does make noise, and we came around a turn and we hit the brakes, but he just stood up really slow. We could just, like, the side of the train hit him, which I got off and I found him. He was still alive. And I mean, he had walked away. He was on somebody's front deck, or, you know, front porch. I found him and was able to get, you know, and he didn't speak any English. So I was working with my broken Spanish, and then finally got the police and an ambulance over there, because either nobody was home or they weren't answering the door. And he was at least still alive when he got in the ambulance. And then another time we were coming, it was slow. It was very slow. But like I said, I ride the back of the train. We're coming back into an industry, and I'm coming, you know, everything. I was like, all right, you know, keep coming back however far. And we're going along, and it was like an embankment, and this guy that I saw that he had earphones on just kind of walked. Even when I saw him walking, I was like, he's not going to walk in front of the train. And he walked right in front of the train.
Wow. Dang. Not most jobs aren't that adventuresome.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like, it's 4 feet 8 inches. Like, that's how wide the train track is. It's like, just stay away from it. It's not like the train is not going to veer and hit you, other than maybe the train that made a teepee.
Yeah, but that's just bad luck.
Mm-hmm.
But avoiding that's controllable luck, avoiding the track.
It is. And I mean, and honestly, like, I remember when this happened, because I kind of made my own little PSA on Facebook or whatever. And so we had a train. It's like, even just staying away from the train a little bit, because train's like 100 cars. I can't see the whole thing. Now, there are detectors as you're going along that will let you know if
there's a knucklehead up ahead.
No, unfortunately not that, but like a high-wide detector. If something is outside the parameters of where your train's supposed to be, most of the time it's a strap or some plastic or something. But we're going along, and you know, we went through one of those, and it'll tell you how many wheels back it is, because some of the car. I'm like, all right, and I go down and I look, and it's a thing of lumber, but the heavy metal straps that they use to hold the lumber, 10 feet of it broke, and so it's just hanging. So it's a giant 10-foot sword being propelled by a train.
Just going along.
Yeah.
That's not going to work out well for a pedestrian.
No. And I mean, to the best of my knowledge, no one got hurt by that. But yeah, it's like stay away from the train.
That was Willie Costello, train conductor. If you want to learn more about Willie or listen to more 10-minute travels, you can check out 10minutetravels.com.
And we definitely want to remind you to make sure that your sense of humor matches your sense of adventure.